You know, throughout history, certain groups of fighters have become, well, more than just soldiers. They're legends. Their names just echo through time, right? They're synonymous with incredible skill and an absolutely unbreakable will. So, let's dive into this and figure out what takes a warrior from being just a good fighter to a true icon.
And that right there is the heart of it. We're not just talking about being good in a fight here. We're talking about groups who were so effective, so unique, that they pretty much came to define their entire societies, and in doing so, shaped the course of history itself.
So what's the secret sauce? Is it just about being the strongest, or is there something more to it? Is there like a formula for creating one of these almost mythical fighting forces? That's the big question we're going to unpack in this explainer.
So here's how we're going to break it down. We'll start by looking for the common patterns, the things they all share. Then we'll dig into the different archetypes, the disciplined empire builders, those unstoppable conquerors, the warriors of code and terrain. And we'll see how all of that evolved into the modern elite soldier before we wrap it all up.
Right, so this legendary status, it doesn't just happen by accident. As we're about to see, it's pretty much always built on three key pillars: an ironclad discipline, a constant drive for innovation, and this powerful psychological edge that could shatter an enemy's will before a single sword was even drawn.
Let's kick things off with our first archetype, those massive, state-sponsored armies that literally built the ancient world. Their strength didn't really come from individual heroes, but from absolute, unwavering unity and order.
And you see this pop up all across the ancient world. You know, from the famous stand of the Spartans at Thermopylae, to the creation of Persia's elite guard, the Immortals, and of course, the rise of the Roman legions. Discipline was the engine of empire.
I mean, just look at this. The phalanx, it wasn't just some clever formation. It was everything to the Spartans. It was the physical result of their whole culture, which was forged in the agoge, this incredibly brutal training system that started when they were just 7 years old. Every single citizen was a gear in this unstoppable military machine.
So you've got these two powerhouse empires, right? But they took totally different approaches, even though it all came back to discipline. The Roman legions, they were like engineers of war. They used tactical innovations like the famous testudo or turtle formation to basically become a walking fortress. The Persian Immortals, on the other hand, were masters of psychological warfare. Their whole deal was maintaining a force of exactly 10,000 men. If a soldier fell, he was instantly replaced, creating this terrifying illusion that they were invincible, that you literally couldn't kill them.
Okay, so we've seen the unmovable wall. Now let's talk about the unstoppable force. Let's shift from those static, disciplined armies to warriors who were defined by pure, terrifying momentum. These weren't defenders. They were like a force of nature sweeping across the land.
And really, is there any better example than the Mongol horde? Under Genghis Khan, these horse archers became, without a doubt, one of the most effective mobile fighting forces the world has ever seen. And their tactics? They led to this: the single largest connected land empire in all of human history. Just think about that for a second. They pulled it off through unmatched skill on horseback. We're talking shooting powerful composite bows with deadly accuracy at a full gallop, and this brutal strategy of psychological terror that often made entire cities surrender without even putting up a fight.
It's actually a really cool parallel when you think about it: land versus sea. While the Mongols were mastering the vast open plains with clever tactics like the feigned retreat, the Vikings were using their incredible longships to master the seas and terrorize the coastlines of Europe. But at their core, they were both masters of the surprise attack, using speed and fear as their go-to weapons, just in completely different environments.
But what if the most powerful weapon isn't something you can hold in your hand? What happens when a warrior's greatest weapon is something internal, like a powerful code of honor, or something external, like the very land they fight on? Well, that brings us to our third archetype.
Enter the samurai of feudal Japan. Now, these guys weren't just hired muscle. They were a ruling class of, well, philosopher warriors. Their incredible skill in combat was guided by this really deep spiritual and ethical code.
And the engine behind it all was Bushido, the way of the warrior. This code was everything to them. It said that loyalty and duty were the most important things in the world, and that honor was way, way more valuable than life itself. And it was that philosophy that made them such incredibly disciplined and formidable fighters.
Now, in a totally different part of the world, you have the Apache warriors, who were absolute masters of their environment. They basically turned the harsh deserts of the American Southwest into their greatest weapon. Their expertise in guerrilla warfare, ambush tactics, and just pure survival skills made them legendary symbols of resistance, striking fear into much larger and better-equipped armies for decades.
So, where did all this lead? How did these ancient ideas, the discipline, the speed, the deep connection to your environment, show up today? Well, they've all kind of converged in the modern era to create the elite Special Forces operator.
See, today's elite forces are all about specialization. You've got the U.S. Navy SEALs, who are masters of unconventional warfare, Russia's Spetsnaz, trained for high-stakes counterterrorism, and the Gurkhas, whose entire global reputation is built on pure, fearless courage.
And speaking of a warrior code, you have to talk about the Gurkhas. Recruited from Nepal to serve in the British and Indian armies, they are a perfect modern example of that warrior ethos. Their motto is, literally, better to die than be a coward. That says it all, doesn't it? The reputation for loyalty and bravery is just legendary.
And remember that brutal Spartan training, the Agage? Well, if you're looking for a modern-day equivalent, look no further than the training to become a U.S. Navy SEAL. This incredibly grueling process is designed to find those rare individuals who have that same unbreakable discipline, that same adaptability and determination that define the greatest warriors of the past. It prepares them for any mission, anywhere on the planet.
All right, so let's pull all these threads together. We've looked at incredibly different groups from all over the world, spanning thousands of years. But their stories survive for a reason. They all share this common DNA of what it takes to be great. And here it is. It really does boil down to these three things, time and time again. It doesn't matter if it's the iron discipline of a Roman formation, the tactical innovation of the Mongol horse archers, or the psychological dominance of the Persian immortals. These elements are always there.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter if we're talking about a samurai's code of Bushido or a Navy SEAL's relentless determination. The ingredients are the same. Unbreakable discipline, the creativity to innovate, the power to get inside an opponent's head, and a powerful code that gives meaning to the struggle. That is the blueprint for a legend.
Which really leaves us with one big question for today. In an age of drones, cyber warfare, and AI, are these ancient ideas still relevant? Or is the very definition of what a warrior is changing right before our very eyes? What do you think it truly means to be a warrior now?